Welcome to Hidden in History.
What if I told you the Roman Empire was even more insane, more advanced, and more bizarre than anything you learnt in school? From emperors who were worshipped as gods to brain surgeons operating with ancient tools, these 10 jaw-dropping facts will completely change how you see ancient Rome. Let's dive in. Fact 1. Rome had a god hotline. The Romans didn't make major decisions without first checking in with the gods. They had an official class of priests called augurs who interpreted divine will by observing the movement and behavior of birds. If birds flew from left to right, that was good. Right to left, bad omen. Military campaigns, elections, even the founding of new cities depended on bird patterns. This was called taking the auspices, a sacred ritual so serious that ignoring it could lead to public outrage or even war. Imagine launching a billion-dollar military operation today based on how pigeons flew across the sky. Fact 2. Emperors were worshipped as gods. Rome didn't just worship Jupiter and Mars, they worshipped their rulers. Starting with Augustus in the 1st century before Christ, emperors were deified, meaning they were literally declared gods, both during and after their lives. Temples were built in their honor. Statues of emperors stood beside those of mythological deities. People were expected to make sacrifices, pray to them, and even swear loyalty oaths to their divine image. This wasn't just flattery, it was a political tool to legitimize the emperor's power. Refusing to honor the divine emperor wasn't just rude, it could be considered treason. Fact 3. Concrete that lasts for millennia. Modern buildings fall apart in decades, but Roman structures like the Pantheon, aqueducts, and sea walls are still standing after 2,000 years. The secret? Roman concrete, a mix of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater that actually gets stronger over time. Scientists today are still studying its chemistry. The Romans even knew how to make it self-healing. When cracks formed, seawater would trigger a chemical reaction that filled in the gaps with new minerals. We still can't fully replicate it today. Rome literally built to outlast empires. Fact 4. A Senate of Ghosts. When Emperor Tiberius ruled in the 1st century after Christ, he took political formality to a bizarre extreme. The Roman Senate continued to include dead senators on its official roster. Their names remained on public lists, their votes were sometimes counted by proxy, and statues were maintained in their honor. It was part tradition, part superstition, and part political strategy. By keeping the dead in power, emperors could sway decisions and manipulate public memory. In ancient Rome, being dead didn't mean you were out of the game. Fact 5. Rome's fast food empire. Long before drive-thrus and takeout apps, the Romans mastered street food. Most ordinary citizens lived in cramped apartments without kitchens, so instead they ate at thermopylae, ancient fast food counters lining the streets. These small shops sold hot dishes like stews, lentils, bread, and mulled wine served in clay cups. Some had fresco menus painted on the walls. Archaeologists uncovered over 150 thermopolia in Pompeii, many perfectly preserved after the volcanic eruption of Mount Vesuvius. It was quick, cheap, and essential to urban life, proof that Romans were foodies on the go. Fact 6. Roman surgeons performed brain surgery. You might picture Roman medicine as primitive, but it was shockingly advanced. Roman doctors could perform cranial surgery, yes, brain surgery, on living patients. Using bronze scalpels, forceps, and drills, they operated on soldiers with head injuries from battle. Some skulls found at Roman archaeological sites show clear signs of trepanation, a surgical procedure where part of the skull is cut away to relieve pressure. Even more incredible, some patients survived the procedure and lived for years after, as shown by bone healing. No anesthesia, no antibiotics, just grit, skill, and tools from 2,000 years ago. Fact 7. Gladiators had product endorsements. Gladiators weren't just fighters, they were celebrities. Famous warriors were household names, with fans, groupies, and even branded merchandise. Their likenesses appeared on oil lamps, mosaics, and wall graffiti. Some had slogans like, "Selados the thrill of the girls." But it didn't stop at fandom. Some gladiators endorsed products, such as skin creams and perfumes, supposedly made from their sweat and blood. Yes, Romans literally bottled and sold gladiator sweat as a cosmetic. It was ancient influencer culture at its weirdest. Fact 8. Rome had firefighters, and they were corrupt. Rome was prone to massive fires, especially in overcrowded districts. To control the chaos, a wealthy power broker named Marcus Crassus created one of the first fire brigades. But there was a catch. His team wouldn't lift a finger until the property owner agreed to sell their building to him at a huge discount. Only then would the flames be extinguished. He made a fortune flipping half-burned homes. So yes, Rome had firefighters, but their business model was extortion. Fact 9. The Roman Empire spanned 3 continents. At its height in the 2nd century after Christ, the Roman Empire was the most powerful force on earth. It stretched from the cold hills of Scotland across the Mediterranean into the deserts of North Africa and as far east as Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. Over 70 million people lived under Roman rule, connected by over 250,000 miles of roads. This was the first time in history such a massive area was governed by a single system of law, currency, and language. Rome wasn't just a city, it was a civilization engine. Fact 10. The fall wasn't a fall at all. When people talk about the fall of Rome, they usually mean the year 476 after Christ, when the last Western Roman emperor was overthrown. But here's the twist. Rome didn't really fall. It simply shifted. The Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, continued for nearly 1,000 more years. Its capital, Constantinople, became a beacon of art, science, and military power. It wasn't until the year 1553 that this final remnant of Rome truly collapsed. So the Roman Empire didn't fall overnight. It faded, morphed, and lived on far longer than most people realize. So now you know, Rome wasn't just powerful, it was weird, brilliant, dangerous, and ahead of its time in ways we're still discovering. From brain surgery to fast food, from celebrity gladiators to immortal concrete, the Romans left behind a legacy unlike any other. Which fact blew your mind the most?
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of the next Hidden in History video.